welcome back to my channel. So I did actually already pre-film the intro, but to my misfortune I completely forgot to pause my music and the intro goes for like a minute long, and even if I did chop it down I still didn't really want to risk getting a copyright strike. So just playing it safe, re-filming the intro. So this look is indeed inspired by the Snapchat filter, obviously in sponsorship and advertisement for Ghost in the Shell, starring Scarlett Johansen, or Johansen, or however you pronounce it. In no way collaboration with any companies, I wish, but that's not the case. This is just purely out of amusement from the filter. So yes, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I shall see you for my future videos. Ciao! Okay, this is my reference picture for Scarlett Johansen's Ghost in the Shell makeup, basically the glam side, I guess you could say, and this is of course my reference picture for the Snapchat filter. Each one comes like a pixelation and skin being lifted, but the first one you just saw was obviously, the all-out robotic look. So starting off with some foundation, of course, this is Maybelline in Classic Ivory. Now I'm taking this particular concealer from the BYS palette. It's not a high-end brand, so don't get too excited. It's a very low-end brand. So I just put it into my main high points and then blending that out with my extra booty sponge. So now taking some Laura Mercier powder and setting that all in with my sponge, because I don't really want to risk getting black shadow all over my face, especially from my bronzer brush. Now getting started on the brows. They're basically very natural Spock brows, and you can obviously hear giggling in the background. My sister's watching some of Lily's vlogs, and we both know how hilarious Lily is, so please excuse the giggling. Anyway, so making sure my brows are straight as possible, because Scarlett's brows are set straight, so obviously the same thing for both sides. So I am taking some of what's on a concealer brush that has black on it, as you can see from another look that I did. I'm just basically setting over the brows and making them black because obviously Scarlett's wearing a black wig, so she had to have her brows matching. So now I'm also priming my eyes. Not that there's too much point in that, but I did it anyway. And just setting over with some Laura Mercier powder, then taking my Rimmel Scandalized eyeliner, and I'm just lining from the inner corner, or sort of the inner corner, to the outer corner in a very thin line. And don't fret if you do make a few mistakes here and there, just wait until it dries, and when it has dried, then just take a Q-tip, whatever Q-tip you have, and just sort of scratch at it, and hopefully it will erase your mistake. And then I am curling my lashes up with some lash curls from Maybelline up to the Asgard Gods, and then taking my roll lash from Benefit, the mini one, to of course fix up my lashes, and then taking Cocoa Cake to fill in my lips, which has very plush pink lips. So yeah, and that's it for glam, Scarlett. So I hadn't quite realised I wasn't filming, so I already put a line down, but it's getting it started on the robot now. I am making a thin line just across my lips, so kind of like a mustache, but only not, with some black paint. So then going from the last point of my lip and drawing this up onto my cheek, then getting started on my forehead, drawing a line and diagonal, or off center really, then down my nose. And then from my nose, I am drawing it onto the other side of my cheek where the point meets. So then I'm from the top of my forehead, I'm drawing a line going in parallel to my eyebrows, then down the side of my eye, onto the cheek, and then meet back on the lip again. So now I'm just pretty much instantly slapping some blue on my face using the small end of my paddle brush. Then I am extending that blue line going up a little bit, so creating some form of an arch, and then coming back down again, and then tracing that on the other side of my forehead, and then just pretty much slapping blue everywhere else on the upper half of that blue line. So then I am getting started with the silver, so basically painting the silver on with a smaller end to keep inside the lines and make sure that everything is relatively consistent. Then mixing up a darker grey, I'm beginning to add the shadow curves. So now getting started on the detail work, I'm drawing a small line starting from the natural curve of my lip at the top, and then drawing that under the nostrils of my nose, and then on the other side as well. And then I am going to eventually join both of them up with a line going down to the natural depth or deep ditch in the lip. Then taking a line down from the top of my cheek more or less, and drawing that down to the first line that I created. And then a slightly more transparent thinner line next to that, and then starting off very transparent and getting thicker as I go along to the very point at the tip of it. and then drawing one down from the side of my nose, and two little tiny eeny weeny lines, pretty much like double that onto my nostril, and drawing a line going across my nose and down it, so kind of like relatively in the shape of a bird beak, but very very rounded. And then I'm drawing that onto the other side of my nose. And then I'm drawing down a line in the center of that. And then drawing a line going across from that to my right. And then drawing a little circle, a square. Drawing a line down and then continue going across from that top line and then filling that little blank space in. So now getting started on like a shadow mark on the nose. And that will eventually thin out to a regular line down to the second line that we first drew. Now taking a line from above my eyebrow, like just above my eyebrow, and drawing that down to the natural shadow curve of the brow, or the nose actually, as you can see me doing here. So continuing that same line from the nose curve onto the top of my cheek, and then bringing it down under my eyes. Then starting from the top again, I'm bringing it out just a little bit further, but then down, and then almost like a half-hour staircase type of line, because it's creating like an eye patch shape. Then I am forming two lines, well starting off with one, but then going over two, as you can see now, and kind of like a bracket shape, but on opposite sides, or opposite, positioned oppositely, if that makes any sense. And then one straight line going straight across my cheek, not that I can really help the natural curve of my cheek, but straight enough. Then I am taking a small opportunity just to add some detailed lines, so like a little circle here, and then just define that other blob above it a little bit more, and then adding a little line underneath that. So just enhancing some of those small details, but then going in with that little black blob on my nose and just extending it a little bit more so that I can join a line onto it. So going on down onto it and then next to it. So while there's some more detailed work, I then decided because it was part of the reference picture, to add an extra black blob square to my nose, which kind of parallels the other one, but a little bit higher. So now I'm just adding some white shiny details, like highlights, but I'll just let you watch everything. I won't really voice over everything because it's no longer part of detailed work, it's just highlighting. So at this point it totally looks like I'm adding some whiskers, which I accidentally put white down first, but I was meant to put black, and eventually that came through, so it looks like I'm adding whiskers, but I'm honestly just sort of like creating some shading. So just tapping it with my finger to make sure it's a nice blend, because in the reference picture it had like a very spotted look to it, so that's what I was trying to achieve. So just once again blending it with my finger, and just adding some more shading here and there onto the sides. Now at this point I am once again using my concealer brush and some more of Wanted, and just basically adding like a more natural shading with the black. So on the sides of my mouth, on the temples, and going down the cheek to the sides of my eyes. My eye actually, obviously. Just adding a very natural shadow that a metal will naturally have, because obviously when the light is sort of away from it, there's like a natural dark cast. So I'm basically using a black eyeshadow to achieve that. And then just for even finer details, I am going to go through my liquid liner, that's the same one I use for my eyeliner, just on the side of my face and then down the bridge of my nose, just to help define some more lines, and the paintbrush is not too good at doing, and then just going back through with the blush shadow. So now taking a red mixed with white, which obviously makes a baby pink, I'm basically adding a flesh tone that's like the residue or the underneath of my skin, just around the very point of this piece of the metal on the surface of what's left of my skin. So just around some slight edges where the skin will still be very bare. Around the lip part on the filter, it was a very, very baby pink that faded in from a red, or the lighter pink. Then there's a small little piece up here as it's a bit solo, and then just drawing it from my temples and all the way down and drawing it back onto my lip, which you'll see soon. So there was like an extra bit of pink flash on this side, which is sort of parallel to the other side but much shorter, so I'm basically adding it in with like all the pink that I have. Then according to reference photos, so my sister's smashing dishes, etc. there is a bit of a crease tone going on, so that ends up being joined in down to basically like a cut crease without an actual cut crease. So yeah, now I'm taking a little bit of white, I say white liner, it's not really a white liner, but I made it look like white liner due to the reference picture on the eye parts. There's like a bit of white highlighting on the liner part of your eye, and then a little bit of a blow up the top of the lid. Now I am taking Naked 2 just to shadow around the edges, just to help give my skin a bit of a shadowed raised look. So basically like my skin has been receding a bit, or lifting up and away, since it just helps make the skin look a bit, slightly cut off from the metal parts of the face. Finally, giving this blue piece on my forehead some love, I'm taking a whitish blue line, and I'm basically adding this into like a triangle, or rephrase, a rectangular shape, but on the other end of my face, the left side of my face, I'm fading it out to like a gradient, because that's just how it looks in the reference picture, because some parts of it were highlighted, and other parts were a lot more solid in tone, and faded of course, so I am following like the arch of this the blue part, but then adding like a dome shape at the top. It's just what was in the reference picture, of course. So from that side of the dome shape, I am just really continuing on with the line, the blue line there. So of course, just then continuously filling in, I'm basically like adding in sunglasses shapes. On one side is a lot more solid and the other side is a lot more gradient, as you can see. So just define that dome shape a little bit more to make it a bit smaller so that I can compensate for more space on my forehead. Now I'm adding a dark blue line, because this is basically two blue lines on top, so drawing straight from the dome line and sort of slightly up, and then to almost parallel to the bottom line. Then I'm using my primer brush just to add a blue circle, just patting it in so it has like a spotted effect. Then adding a white line around that in a square-ish shape. Then across the lens of the glasses, I guess you could say. So basically following the gradient line a little bit, just to make it a little bit more sharper. And then down. And then around, or slightly squared off of course, but around it. So then just define that dome shape a little bit more. And making sure to stay above that black line. Then I'm adding little white dots, because it looks like a bit of a vent or air vent looking shape thing. So that is that little mask glasses thing done. So now I'm adding like the pixels, which was shown on the screen of the filter, when you activate it. I'm basically adding like little random dots around my neck. So yes, here is the finished look. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this. I had too much fun with this look, and I shall see you all in my future videos if you enjoyed it. Ciao!